Hey pod people, it's Joe.
And I'm Kel, and this is Cosmic Connections 101. Today's episode, we're going to talk about mentors and teachers and why we believe that they're important.
100% could do nothing without them. Like any
Yeah,
teachers in the world, as our boy Narco says, come to teach, come to be taught.
yeah. And I really
It is a
feel
two-way
like
street.
from if we want to just step into a perspective of us being Indigenous, we historically are an oral culture, and so our information and lessons have all been taught to us via face-to-face learning and one-on-one mentoring
Stories,
with people, yeah, like teaching us.
art.
And so I feel like there's a cultural connection for us as well to be able to absorb information efficiently via a teacher, because it's just in our DNA.
Yep, it's like come down from the elders, like information gets passed down, truth speaking, and then they give you lessons along the way or little nuggets to take on your journey till you find the lesson.
Yeah, it's like,
Sometimes.
they plant the seed and then you've got to
I'm
figure
not
out
giving you all
how
the
to
info.
grow it. Yeah, it's like you come into the lesson at your own time, and that's just the beauty of working with a mentor or a teacher, is that they can see your path laid out for you, but it's their responsibility to just give you what you're ready for and not to be too impressionable on you. It's like,
give you some guidance.
yeah, and you have to just ask the questions and figure out the path on your own, and they're there to help you. So it's really important, I feel, for us to have access to teachers and mentors on our spiritual path, because we are flying blind sometimes, and we do need just that help along the way to just make things more visible.
100%. So you've only really just started like with your mentor a couple of years ago, right? Is that like that's your proper first someone that you're in contact with regularly to help you see and visualize and go about your
Exactly. And
journey,
because,
right?
I didn't really ever feel drawn to having to seek out a mentor. Like, the reason that I became connected with Annalie in the first place was because I was just seeking a reading from her. And then when you meet somebody and you just connect with them, and you can feel that there's like someone important who's just come into your field, and you're just like, I need to work with them. It's just something deep inside of you where you just know, I'm supposed to be, like learning from this person, or whatever. There's just something that prompts you. And so Annalie, like, we both had felt that from our reading, and she's like, look, I have this option available if you want. And I was just straight away like, yes, I don't care about like the cost or whatever, because to me it's like an investment in myself, my spiritual growth. And I knew it was time. And I think because it was such an isolating time when we met, because it was COVID, I knew instinctively that I needed connections to the outside world. And all the pieces kind of just fell into place, really. And now, having been working with her for like 2.5 years, like there's a part of me that wishes I had known about the importance of a mentor earlier, and that I had been seeking them out earlier. Yeah. But
divine timing.
exactly.
It wasn't your time yet.
You don't know what you don't know until
That's
you
right.
know it.
And the timing of even how it happened, and how it was supposed to be in person, and that thing got shut down, and then different way. Like it was all just how it was supposed to be.
Yeah. And that's
you were meant
how
to at
you
that
kind
time.
of know when you're in connection with the right person, because the things, like the pieces, just fall into place. And then there's this just connection to each other, where you just know that you've known each other in a past life, and that you're here in this life to work together. Like, you just know it. I can't even explain it.
It just feels familiar. Like you already know them.
Yeah.
And they know you, and you already got this like tight, close friendship, but you don't know how because you just met them. But
Yeah,
it just
and
feels heart to heart.
you just love them. Yeah,
Yep.
like, and you don't know why, because they're a stranger essentially, but you just feel safe. And
Yep.
like, I want to tell you my whole life story, and everything.
And then the
that
time
went
goes
wrong
so
in
fast.
my life, I want you to know about it.
It's just having that different outside perspective, because obviously we talk a lot and all that sort of stuff too, but we always need an outside perspective and a different version of other things that we haven't got to learn about, and people who have been on different paths who can drop those bits of nuggets into our pathway.
Yeah.
That's what it's for. Like, that's what you're doing with all of the TikToky stuff. I'm not part of that world. Like, I look at stuff, but I'm just like, that's for other people to do. Like, I'm foundation. I done some of these things to help you.
And that's the
go
thing
do the
as well
things.
with Annalie, is that, okay, we both know that we are like laying the blueprint for the new the new earth kind of energy, the heart space, the 5D. And because we are both on that same path, it just magnifies both of our abilities, like,
and
we're elevating a lot faster because we're in each other's space like that. And so you know that you are a foundation person, and we are that next level. Like, okay, you've cleared the space and made it sturdy, and then we are starting the new energy frequency.
And then the younger ones now, they're already making moves, man.
Yeah,
like,
they add on top of that blueprint to actually make it like a living kind of
you know what
space.
These next crew, will they even need mentors, mate? They've got all the knowledge themselves.
Look,
their old wisdom, so it's like
community,
to harness it,
because they will be like-minded. I don't know if they'll need
they'll come back to basics, which is community.
Guidance from people like us to practice discernment. But they're already so tapped in that
amazing.
but you, Jody, have always kind of had some mentor, or just people who have come into your life to help teach and grow and all of the rest of it.
100%.
So what was your first experience with a mentor?
So as per usual, it was by accident. So Danielle, who I used to work with, she wanted to get a reading, and see, back in the old days before the internet, she looked in the local paper. And there was an ad in there, and it said gay rangi wheo, like Maori spiritual guidance and healing and all this stuff, and she was at Minnow. And so Dan's like, oh, like, I really want to get a reading because I want to connect with my auntie, my favorite auntie and uncle, who have just like passed within the year. And I'm like, well, mate, Minnow's my old hood, so I can come with. I can come with. And she's like, yeah, that'll be awesome. So she rang her, booked an appointment. We went after work one day, and me, I'm just there for moral support. I'm like, yep, cool, sweet, whatevs.
How old did you say you were? Or you didn't say?
19.
19, yeah, nice.
19. And then, so knock on the door. Gay opens the door up, and she just me and her straight away. She was like, oh my God, look at your energy. Blah, blah. Starts talking, hugs me, kisses.
Or Danielle.
Felt so like her energy is amazing. Then she like gave Dan a hug and stuff. And then she just couldn't take her eyes off me. And I said, oh, no, Dan's here for the reading, not me. I'm just like holding her hand. And she goes, me and you need to talk. And then Dan's like looking at me going, what the fuck's going on here, bro?
Yeah, this is about me, anyway, not you.
Yeah. She goes, I said, yeah, no, I'm not having the reading. She goes, Jody, I feel like I'll talk to you after it though. I'll talk to you after it. And I'm like going, oh yeah, cool. And then, so we go into the room, and then she gives Dan a reading, and it was so funny because it was the first time I've ever seen it where she took jewelry. And so so it's called psychometry, right? Didn't know any of this stuff. So she took Dan's bracelet, and she was holding Dan's bracelet, and then she was doing a reading for her. Now, obviously, Dan wanted to talk to her people that passed away, but we didn't know that there's a difference between all these things. So wasn't a medium. She does different type of readings. And then she was just giving Dan all the stuff that she has to do for herself.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, it's relationship. Oh, not very good. It's like weighing you down and this. And Dan's like, how does she know this shit? This is not what I'm here to talk about. But she laid it on thick. She gave her a healing and all that sort of stuff as part of it as well to help her on her way. And then after it finished, she's like, Jody, we need to connect. My sister. She kept, and I'm like going, oh, I feel like something strong too. And she goes, oh, I'm actually just about to start classes and stuff. Would you be interested in coming to a class? And Dan's like, oh, yeah, I would. And I said, oh, yeah, rightio. And then I went home and I was telling Mum. Mum's like, oh, I want to go. That sounds amazing. And then I'm like, I don't really know what it's all about. She just said spiritual stuff. I don't know. And then Dan pulled out. And so me and Mum went, and it was just me, Mum, Monique, and a couple of other girls, and it was the best ever. So she even like had notebooks, and that's where she introduced us to like all the different cultural around the world, symbols, chakras, all different energy.
Classes did you go to?
For that one, I think her first one was like 8 classes. And then after we did those, because she done runes, and yeah, we'd go every Tuesday night.
I remember there was one time when I came with you.
Oh, really?
And because now like I've just remembered this. But
yeah.
It's the first time when I actually experienced the feeling of being in meditation where you're all like spinny in the head.
Oh yeah.
I remember I was sitting in the chair and my head felt like it was, dipping really low, and I just felt all spinny and all of that. Like I completely forgot about that. But I
don't even remember you coming.
Yeah.
There you go.
So that was my first like experience of feeling like that in meditation.
Energy.
Like I have 2 memories. Well, my first like that, I forgot about that.
Just come.
But another one was like at your old place at Smithfield. But yeah, like that was the first time really, now that I think about it,
Kel, I don't recall you coming ever. Because me and Mum used to go to that class, and then she just started doing like a meditation one, and that's when maybe that's when you come to that one. And then she had one of her friends come who was also Maori, but she used to be a channeler. And so one of her guides would come through. Like that was the first time I ever seen shit like this, right?
Oh, like she was speaking
this old Native American fella language, like weird, saying stuff in Lakota.
Yeah, right.
And then what he did was he went around to each individual in the little space and told them, like, you're like what you were saying, oh, you're a psychic, you're a healer, you're a this, you're a this. When it got to my thing, in my head, I'm like, fuck, he's going to tell me I'm a healer. But I want to be a this. And he's like, this is you're a healer.
One of those things that I remember about you is you being told that. So I don't know if I was there for that, or I don't know, because that is one thing that stuck in my head, that as if it would happen to me, is like you being told that you're a healer, and you were disappointed with that because you're like, oh, how boring.
Yeah, I'm like, a healer? What the hell is that?
Yeah.
And then the next person was the last person, and when it finished, he done a round off talk. So I say he because it was the person that she's channeled. Yeah, and then he goes, and I'm like, oh my God, he's calling me out, because he goes, now I feel some of you are disappointed with what I have just said. And then he starts like giggling, and he goes, but you will see over time, this is what you're going to be focused on. This is where your journey is going to end up without me saying these words tonight, and you will just end up there. And I was like, bastard.
Here we are.
And here we are. But it's like, that was the first thing.
Yeah, why it's important to be connected to a mentor or a teacher, because you get stuff like that when you're told at 19 you're a healer, and in the back of your mind it's a seed that's been planted. So you're kind of, you're aware of it, but it's not necessarily the thing that you wanted. But
I was like going, I've always seen and heard stuff when I was little. I thought for sure I'm freaking psychic.
Everyone wants to be a bloody psychic.
And then I'm like, but then like I got a down, like this is when the first time I started experiencing like other types of downloads in the meditation and stuff, where what would come through was, you already are.
Yeah.
Like you already are those things, but healing, that's where your heart is. Like that's where you're going to make the most inroads for yourself, and your healing heals others.
Yeah.
I never really understood it.
Because we are here to be of service, and healing is a massive thing, you know.
Yeah, but
it's a privilege for you to be a healer.
It was so blasé. I was just like, all I'd experience is like hands-on healing.
Hands-on
and other stuff.
healing.
I don't know what the
Reiki.
fuck. What does that even mean?
Yeah, because you're like, that's
Healer.
boring if I'm going to be doing that, or like.
Yeah, and I'm like, where do I fit
the
in?
world view of it all back then is so like small.
Yeah, and then it was because of Gay that then I was introduced to like the festivals and the little things that would come around locally. Like I didn't know about them. She told me and Mum about this one at Casula at Hunt's Motel. So I went to that one, and that is where things really shifted.
Yeah.
So it was the first time ever that I'd seen an Aboriginal elder at one of these things, right? Because it's always lots of other people on journeys, different other cultures. But, you know, me, I was always like trying to find me.
Yeah, new agey kind of.
The start of all that, right?
Yeah.
And so when I seen who was on the card thing, or whoever likes doing a talk or whatever, like I was like, oh my God, I have to be at that. Like this is something special. And so we're sitting in this big circle and she's like talking, and Kel. So, you know, I've talked about ever since I was little, I always knew I was connected to the sky people. In this talk, Billawara was talking about, she's from Northern Territory. Black cockatoo is what her name means, that she told us. And then she was saying how the elders and stuff have always dealt with aliens and beings from space, from the sky. And then she goes, oh yeah, we've got drawings and talking about it. They always pass down knowledge and give us wisdom and da-da-da-da-da. It's no big deal to us. And, you know, just make sure you go with the green ones, not the blue ones. And then, and she goes, there's lots of versions, so just be mindful. But her talking about aliens so open and culturally for me was like jaw drop. Yeah. Jaw dropping to me. I was just staring, going, oh my God, she's confirming things that I've known ever since I was little, but I didn't know how I knew or if it was even a thing. Yeah. And after it, everyone's standing around talking. She come and found me, and she comes up and she grabs my hand, and Mum and Gay's just like standing next to me. She goes, I thought I seen you there. And then I go, hi. And she goes, I've got something for you. They want you to have this. And she put a hematite in my hand. Yeah. And she goes, this is where the healing starts.
That's amazing.
Mate, I was like, who is this whirlwind of a woman? Yeah. It was crazy. And then like that for me, that was when I was like, okay, healing journey begin.
Were you 19 then too, or are you
19?
A little older, 19. Yeah.
19. And I was like, you can't deny these things. Like, from me going with Dan to meet Gay, to meet Billawara, to set me on my pathway, because that was the first bit of nugget where I'm like, oh, wisdom from elders, from sky, from. I didn't tell people about this.
No, so
must have told Mum when I was older.
Yeah, like thing.
And Mum was standing there.
Yeah, it's like not just your imagination.
Yeah, Mum's standing next to me. She's like, wow, Jo. I'm like, I can't even talk. I'm just in. I'm just in.
Yeah, like why did she give you the hematite?
Well,
what's the significance for people who don't know?
Well, I just felt instantly Aboriginal healing stone.
Yeah.
And also, like, I think, like, you know, when we talk about energy work and healing, like I've always just had one with me now because, remember, like I'd done the rounds. I gave it to you when you were going through struggles. I gave it to Fats when he was going through struggles. And then after he gave it back, it disappeared.
Yeah.
And before, like I used to be gutted, and Gay would always say, it was meant to be here for that certain period of time. Now it's gone back to the cosmos. Yeah. It's done its job. And so, but still now to this day, besides a rose quartz, a hematite is the only other thing that I'll give people. Oh, and actually, there you go, my ring. It's a rainbow hematite.
Yeah.
I'm like, could it get any better? So I always have one on me. I always just feel it's like a very strong grounding protector and just energy. Like she didn't say anything about it. I just knew.
Yeah.
And then you look at them, like it just looks like space.
Yeah,
The feeling, it just
it
looks so
does.
cosmic.
And it's just that kind of energy of protection, and because it is kind of reflective, I think of it as like bouncing that negative energy back where it came from. So it's
Mad. Good insight.
yeah, like that's the way that I just looked on my shelf then. I don't have any. I've just
maybe
got
it's
like
time.
obsidian and like other kind of dark colored crystals to absorb negativity, but not to like reflect
Reject them.
back.
But yeah,
And
so
that's such a powerful thing, and not many people would ever get to experience something like that. Somebody who's talking on a platform coming down and singling you out and giving you a gift like that. Like that's so special.
and then that was just the beginning, because every time, like if I've gone to different readings, like they'll just stare at me and they're like, wow, like you've got powerful energy. Your ancestors are all standing behind you. You're supposed to do big things. You're supposed to be a healer. They're with you. And then I'm like, fucking pressure much? Like I
Yeah,
don't really know what I'm supposed to
exactly.
be doing. And then
That
they'd give me their jewelry. Like this lady
Yeah.
took a moonstone and she goes, here, this is for your journey. And I'm like,
Yeah.
what is happening? So like you get different things along the way. So I'm like, okay, that's to give me bits of wisdom on the way, and maybe, I don't know, maybe some encouragement to keep stepping in the path, because
Yeah,
obviously it impacts other people. Because if I didn't do all this
exactly.
stuff, you might be in a different place of your journey too.
Yeah, because you were the one who would take mum along to these things, and mum was the one who kind of made that space at home comfortable for me to just express
Yep.
anything, It's
The
like
more she'd learn,
yeah, it was
it's
just
just
like
open at the house.
open kind of conversation around that. And then it became a family thing for the three of us whenever there was like those little spiritual fairs.
Yep.
For us to all go together. And now I've started that with our
Now
niece,
with the niece.
Melody. There's a Mind Body Spirit Festival this weekend, but she's going with her friend, which I'm so excited for.
Oh, that's
yes,
awesome.
spread the love to everyone, like let everybody know. Because now for me personally, I find Mind Body Spirit Festival to
Too
be
much.
overwhelming.
Yeah,
Like
it's
the
too
energy.
much.
I really need to kind of prep myself to go to those things. Even like the last time I went just for Melody to introduce her to that. So I'm glad now that she's
Yeah.
taking other people to go along, because I don't know if I can really handle those big ones anymore, but I do
Yeah.
like the small ones, like Joe, the one that we met
Canberra.
there at, and Canberra, yeah, like but the
That was
one
so good.
we'll talk about the one where we met there for the first
Oh,
time. So that was that in Green Valley, or I don't, that was like Liverpool
that
way.
was at Cabra.
Cabra, yeah.
Cabra
So
Vale Diggers.
I
I'll never forget it.
yeah, like I remember us walking into the venue and then you locking eyes with Bear, and then he just kind of keeping a watch on you the whole time while you're walking around the whole thing, avoiding him, even though you knew you had to go and talk to him. You kind of were just like waiting
I
and
was scared.
waiting. And then when you finally go over to him, he's like, it's about time.
It's like, I was wondering how long it was going to take you to get here. And I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, as soon as you walked in the door, your ancestors started talking to my ancestors, and they're like, you just need to talk to each other.
Yeah.
And
you
I'm
knew
like,
that
I was petrified. Oh, yeah.
because you were
As soon as I
avoiding
seen him, we walked straight in and we're looking at the crystals. I could feel this energy pulling me. And I look over and he's just staring at me. And I like instantly, I'm like, oh, fuck, oh, fuck, oh, fuck, oh, fuck, oh, fuck, oh, fuck. Hell, I need to go talk to that guy. Oh my God, he's got so much knowledge and info for me, but I'm so scared. I'm so scared because he's going to give it like straight down the line. I'm scared. And I avoided him for an hour and 20 minutes.
Yeah, I was going to say, we should kind of like give yourself a little, like Bear is quite an intimidating looking person, even though he is like such a nice person to look at. He's tall and he's,
he's a bear.
He's like that masculine kind of, divine masculine energy of like, he just embodies that. So I can see how for you it would be intimidating, because what he was going to be calling me out. is the shit. Yeah. Whereas
He's
like,
going to be making me
deep-
face my
yeah,
truths.
deep stuff that he has to talk to you about. And for me, I was just like, Jody, come on,
Just
look, he's
go.
free. Because remember we were watching Florence do a
Oh,
platform
yeah.
reading, and I'm like, Jody, quick, go. Like the festival's closing soon. His table's free, go. And you're just like, okay, I'm gonna go now. All right. And then you finally went after hyping yourself up. But what did you say? An hour and a half?
An hour and a half, basically. Because mum went to the toilet, so she had to walk past his thing, and she got his business card.
Yeah.
When she brought it back, she gave it to me, and I'm like, oh, great. His name's fucking Standing Bear.
Yeah.
Not intimidating at all.
No, not intimidating.
He just looks intimidating, and then his name's intimidating. But then, yeah, it was
like you knew you couldn't
amazing
leave there without speaking to him. Even if if the festival had shut down, you would have had to seek him out. You know, like you knew that.
100%. He has been definitely life altering
For both of us.
Life altering.
Yeah.
He's hardcore. And I'm like, he's such a truth teller. And he'd be telling me things about epigenetics and neuroplasticity and stuff, like literally 10 or so years ago. No idea what he was going on about.
Yeah.
And now when I do this stuff, I'm like, oh my God, Bears talk to me about this stuff. Like he must think such a slow learner. It's like he just knew.
You're not a slow learner.
I really do need to actually catch up with him next time I'm back in Sydney. He's in the mountains and stuff, and I don't think he really does readings and stuff anymore, but we get together for some truth bombs. Yeah, but like I usually, he's never gone to them since then, but like I always touch base and then we meet up for a feed and some hardball truth telling.
And because Bear's the kind of person that you don't want to get a reading from unless you're really ready to change your life. And that's not even saying it lightly. Like it really is.
I don't send people
your whole world upside down. Yeah.
It's really breaking yourself apart and rebuilding and just truth.
Yeah, because the harshest words that I ever heard from someone up until that point of my life was from him.
And
I
know the words.
He fucked with me.
Yep. Are we gonna?
But in a good way, because
it worked.
That with me, and then it was my truth that I needed to hear, and then
to make changes.
Everything changed, and then I am where I am now because of that conversation with him, that reading, the first one that changed my whole life.
Yep.
And I'm sure I have done that for many people who are ready for that journey.
Yeah, I was just about to say I have sent someone, like a couple of people, but one, it didn't go very great. And it was because, you know, everyone's got their own perspective on stuff. But I just know, like when you look back, like stuff that he's talked about with me, I'm like, I wasn't ready. 10 years later, I hear some of the stuff again in my consciousness. And I'm like, oh, right, that's when you're talking about God, he good.
Yeah.
Like, he told me this 10 years ago. Wow, he's ahead of the game. Like he is
He's a
visionary man.
Yeah, he can see. And when you're sitting in his presence, you know that he can see everything.
I know.
It's like he can
he's looking into your soul.
Yeah.
Looking into your soul and ripping apart all the bits and pieces and putting them on the table and go, okay, now.
Yeah.
What are you going to say?
Exactly.
And you're like, I don't know.
So it's like,
but he's so loving.
You're such, you're so lucky to have a mentor like that, who is able to really shake up your world and, you know,
and I needed a male
raw, information because, like you wanted to avoid him because of that masculine energy.
Oh, yeah.
But that's exactly what the balance you needed because he's really, ironically, the one who forced you to step into your divine feminine.
Yeah, 100%. He's the reason that I definitely shifted and changed so much stuff in my world. Would never have known otherwise.
And he was the one who's like, look, Jody, you know, like just start off lightly, like wear a dress. And
I'm like,
yeah, you're just like, no.
And you're like, and I'm like, it feels too dressed up, Kel. And you're like, Joe, it's a dress.
Then you don't have to worry about mat. You just need shoes. Like it's just one thing.
And you're like, and it's one thing.
Okay,
and I'm like, oh. So then I started with Frocktober, and it was for ovarian cancer. So I thought, okay, for Nan. So see, it's always okay for other people, but for me, I'm just like, oh, too much.
But
now it's like not an issue.
Then that's a good thing, you know, like whatever works.
Yeah.
Because he's such an important mentor, and that has fed through to me because
he's amazing.
Being in your space, you know, it's like if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be where I am.
Yep. And then leads us to our next major one, Nada, which again was via, one of the other, like, I think via Florence is how I accidentally met Nada, because then, Florence's crew, they done like little readings, and Nada was one of her students, and she was doing readings for someone at work. And then she said, oh, she's amazing, book a time. So I went and booked. And it's so funny because I had a feeling before I knocked on the door that she'd forgotten.
Yeah.
I'm like, surely. Anyway, so I knock on the door and she's there in her pajamas and she just stares at me. And I'm like, oh, hi, I'm Jody, 10 o'clock. She goes, I thought you cancelled. And I said, no, remember it was going to be me and my friend Shivy. Shivy's not coming, but I still am. And she's like, oh my God, I totally misunderstood. And she goes, just give me 5 minutes. And she took me into her little office thing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm so sorry. You can finish having breakfast. I can go wait in the car. She's like, no, don't worry. Just give me 5. And she went and got dressed. And then she put herself in the headspace, and then she come down and we were just pissing ourselves laughing. And I just knew like that she's just amazing. And obviously to this day, she's still part of my worlds. Lots of people have got different readings and healings. I go to her for healings now when I'm in Sydney.
Yeah, you always.
She's the only one I trust, with actual hands-on healing. So she leads you through a meditation, and she's got crystals and does hands-on healing stuff. It's like a meditation and a healing all in one, as a reading as well. Like she's just amazing. And then she started doing her own classes. So I went, okay, I'm going to come. And then that was the first time ever that I heard what a Pleiadian was, because they came to me in my meditation and they showed me themselves and who they were and the star system, and that they're the ones that used to talk to me when I was younger. And I couldn't even pronounce it. I'm like, oh, Nada, yeah, when we were doing the thingies, like it's these star people, they're blah, 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 blah. And she's like, Pleiadian. I'm like, yes, that's the name. And she goes, oh, yeah, they're the, and she starts telling me all about it. I'm like, wow. So each of them have led me to such different ways. But again, the follow-on effect is that it actually goes to people in the family too.
Yeah, because you have that ability to make these connections with people, and then you make it comfortable for us to then step into that same space, because you're just like, the friendly icebreaker.
Friendly ghost.
Yeah. So, with Nada, actually, when we first started our podcast and released episode 1, I did a Facebook post and just, kind of promoted a bit. And Nada, wrote on there, and she's like, oh, congratulations, girls, and, whatever. And I asked her if she would be a guest on the podcast one time. And she's like, yeah, of course, so we have
she's a legend.
Get our Nada onto here, we're so overdue. Like, I wanted to get a reading from her. Remember we we're going to do like a family
because she was about to move.
Yeah, so then we need to organize that. Yeah, because
I'll definitely do that.
Yeah, she's one of those people who you just feel so comfortable in her energy, and it's easy for her to fall into being your mentor, because she's just so inviting and friendly and has that love aura around her, and you just feel safe with her and just want to give her hugs. And
instantly,
she's just a beautiful person.
And we've had men in our family do readings for her, and they're pretty staunch in what they think and feel, and then they come out of there crying and just like, wow,
like, she's amazing.
Wow.
How does she know that stuff?
They're just like, wow. And I'm like, I know, like we just go, I know.
Yeah, and I will recommend Nada to anybody. She's the one person who I would say, if you're getting a reading, if you're spending your money anywhere, do it like, to someone who we trust and love, and that's Nada. 100%.
Yeah, we'll definitely do a family one again. I'll organize it, but let me just try and find her page so that we can
spruik her,
sort of give her Insta and all that, like, because it's Angels, Gypsies, and something, right? Coffee. Can't remember it. Hang on.
Well, she's just as Nada Mueller _psychic on Instagram these days. So NADAMULLER and then _psychic. And she's this beautiful blonde beauty, and she's
so loving and gentle and amazing, and she's such a nurturer.
Her website is actually gypsiesandangels.com.au. You're right.
Yeah, do yourselves a favor.
Book with Nada.
Yeah, she's got YouTube as well. She does like weekly readings and stuff now, so you can have a yarn to her. But
she's such a genuine person, and Yeah. Lucky
So
that
yeah,
you came into you came into each other's worlds like that, because
things get crisscrossed for a reason. So that's what I've always said. I'm like, oh, I'm a connector of different things. I don't know all the stuff, but like I meet people and then I'm like, oh, wow, they've got such value and stuff to give and provide. And I know different people are going to get different stuff out of it. So to me, it's just exciting when I meet such amazing people. And yes, I have to learn a lot of stuff along the way too.
Yeah.
But that just reminds me, when I'm back in Sydney, I definitely have to catch up with Bear. See, I'm already freaking out.
Yeah. Because what's he gonna say? No, but he's gonna be so proud of all your progress. You know that, right? Like, you're doing it. Everything that
Oh,
he said, you're doing it. Like, that's amazing, But I feel like,
fingers
for
crossed.
me, and I don't know, we've not talked about this, but for me, I know my next steps are to be a mentor. Like, I want to be a mentor for people. And I don't know if that's part of your journey, if that's what you're wanting to do in the future. But for me, that's a thing that is crystal clear, and what I need to do at some point, going from being a mentee to a mentor. 100%.
Yep, I can definitely see that. Like for you, I think I'm that without the label.
Yeah.
Like I like, me, I don't like to commit to big things. I think it's like a self-worth thing, still working on those things. But I think I am people's mentors unofficially. Like I don't like, those titles or stuff to go with it yet. But it's definitely part of who I am, regardless. But yeah, I don't really know what's next for me. Bear has told me many times, but I'm still trying to see that path.
Like, I know some people
on the
feel
journey,
comfortable with like the term coach or teacher or mentor or whatever,
Freaks
but
me
you
out.
just don't want,
I don't like, I don't want the titles.
Your mate.
It's like, can't we just have a chat? Let's sit around and have a yarn. That's the talking stuff. I love it. I can do that forever, as you can tell. But I don't know what sort of how that fits in the world in the future. But it's what we're doing now, like just being able to talk about stuff. That's part of it.
That is exactly it. It's like, the more that we have these discussions, the more that we learn about our own journey and what's next for us. And so that, these conversations have really helped me align with that even more so, where I'm like, yes, I will be a good mentor and I would love to help people on their spiritual path. And that is what I
totally see that.
Yeah.
And totally see that.
Like, I'm not quite ready yet, but I'm nearly, like, I'm getting to the point, and that is on the
radar.
Yeah, jinx.
Hey, look out. All right, then we better leave it there, right? And then who knows what our next podcast could entail. We'll just
see
wing it and see how we're flowing.
Exactly.
Stop it. All right, love ya. We'll chat later. See you, pod people.
Bye. Thanks for listening.
Bye.